everybody, it's the Warhipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial, and today we are painting the all-new plastic Ellyrian Reavers. Yes, it's an old world video, courtesy of Games Workshop, who sent me these early to build up and paint with all of you, and that is exactly what we are going to be doing today. Now, they look amazing. They don't go together so well, but it is what it is. So we're going to jump in and we're going to start painting them. They've all been primed in Grey Seer, and we're going to be working on these three today because we've got the banner, we've got the musician, and we've got the champion as well. So we're going to pop these to one side because ultimately this is going to be the same thing that happens across all of our Ellyrian Reavers, as that's how it is on the box. So all of the horses are going to be the same colour, just like it is on the box, but that's exactly what we're doing. So as mentioned, primed in Grey Seer, and the colour we're going to be using first is Reikland Fleshshade, and we're going to be applying this over top of the horse's nuzzle or nose. Really easy to start. With that Reikland Fleshshade all applied, what we're then going to do is take some Nuln Oil, and we're going to apply this over the top of the tail, the mane, and over the top of the horse's socks. I'll show you that in just a second once we've done one of the tails. So we get this all over like so. Let me just make sure to do both halves so it doesn't end up with a kind of slightly weird drying line over the top. There we go. And then on the horse's socks, we've already kind of mentioned the mane. The mane's exactly the same as the tail. Oh, we just missed a little bit just in there. Don't want to do that. So on the horse's legs, or socks as we keep calling them, what we want to do is from the bottom here is we want to just take it up to the knee. There, like that. Don't have to worry about blending it because we're going to go over with a darker colour in a minute. It should be fine. We're just going to come up like that and go all the way around, just make sure we've got it, which we do. I'm going to do that across all four of the legs. So with that all done, what we now need to do is work on our, well, the rest of the horse. And the colour we're going to be using for this is a roughly 2 parts Lahmian Medium to 1 part Basilicanum Grey mix. And we're going to be applying this over top of the rest of the horse. So we've got this bit here, naturally, and this bit here around the face, like so. But we then have the rest of the body to do. We're just going to start just there, pull it down and around, like that, and then flip it over and do the other half so we don't get that coffee staining on the underside of the neck. Not that it's particularly noticeable because of all the horse barding and stuff like that, but on ones where it might be noticeable, you don't want that to happen. You then just come in between the two bits here come under the reins. Do this bit. Come up like that sort of thing. There we go. Perfect. Now, the other thing that we're going to do with this, whilst we're doing this over the top of the entirety of the body, is we're going to be doing this over the top of the legs, and we're going to be doing a bit of blending. Oh, we've missed a bit back here. There we go, fixed it just in time. So we're going to be doing a bit of blending on the legs. And, well, what we're going to do is sort of just around the knee, basically, is we're going to apply the Basilicanum Grey like so. Then we're going to wash the brush, touch off the water, and then just blend it into the Nuln Oil that we've already done. You'll notice that it looks kind of similar. But what we are in fact going to do here is do this exact same process twice, because we want the darkness of Basilicanum Grey, but because Basilicanum Grey is a temperamental paint, thin it down and do 2 layers of it, and that way it does what we want it to, staying nice and smooth around the larger open parts of the horse. Like that. So for example, on the horse's rump, so here's what your Ellyrian Reaver will look like after 1 layer, but after 2 it'll get significantly darker. And that's what we're going to do now. This is the second layer. We're doing exactly the same thing. So we're going over the top of all of these areas, and we're also blending in the same places. There you go. See? So with that all done, as you can see now, it is significantly darker. So what we're going to do is we're going to add that lovely kind of dappled grey sort of light point thing that you see on the box art. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some tissue paper here. We're going to take an old small layer brush in my case and snip all the bristles off so it's really short to create basically a really small narrow stippling brush. Now, you could do this with a tiny dry brush as well. I've done it with a small layer brush because I want it to be really accurate. I'm going to take some Administratum Grey and just dab this off on the tissue paper. And then, over the top of the horse, just going to steady it. I'm going to build up some little light points like that. Just in random places. And you'll have seen me do this, if you're a fan of the channel, with an old medium layer brush before. Or a medium shade brush, actually. And yes, you could do it with that, but they are very large. And these are really small areas that we want to be doing this in. We're getting just like this kind of small little circular patterns. I'm going to do this over the horse's rump, down the darkened areas of the legs, and over the neck as well. So with our Administratum Grey stippling done, we're then going to take some Corax White, and we're going to do the same thing over the top, and then we're just going to do very small amounts of it. So with that all done, the horses are pretty much finished. There's a couple of extra bits and bobs left to do on them, but we're going to skip over that for now because we're going to continue on with getting all of our base coats on. And the next one is going to be another big one. It's going to be all the blue. And the colour we're going to be using for this is some Asurmen Blue. And we're just going to apply this over top of everywhere that is blue. But you'll notice on the box art that there are couple of bits that are slightly darker, so don't worry, we are going to get there. But Asurmen Blue is going to act as our base coat for some versions of the blue, and as the pre-shade for others. I'm just going to get this all over. Check the box out for all the areas that are going to be blue. And then once that's done, we'll come back. Once all that Asurmen Blue is applied over the top of our Ellyrian Reavers, what we're then going to do, we're going to take some Stormfiend. We're going to apply this over the top of all of our hardened blue details. So we're going to be looking for things like the quivers, the what's it called? Basically the arrow holder. We're going to be applying this over the top of that leather barding around the horse's rump and chest. And we're going to apply this over top of any blue feathers as well. And we will also apply this over the top of this kind of well, whatever the male's mounted to, whatever you call that. And with all that Stormfiend applied, we're then going to once again take some Asurmen Blue. We're going to apply this as a second layer over the top of all of our cloth. So with that all done, we can then move on, and we're going to take some Blood Angels Red. I'm going to apply this over the top of the other rectangles on this barding. With that Blood Angel's red all applied, but then going to take some Sigvald Burgundy. We're going to apply this over top of any feathers that we haven't already done with blue, excluding our champions ones, where they're going to be white. And we're also going to apply this over the top of any kind of additional sort of strips of fabric that are tied onto things like the spears and at their waists. So with that all done, our next colour is going to be some Guilliman Flesh. And we're going to apply this over the top of our facial features and hands. It's a very weird way of saying that. Should have just continued it. I'm going to apply this over our facial features and our hand features. With that all done, we're then going to take some Skeleton Horde and we're going to apply this over top of their hair and over the top of the arrow fletchings. So with that all done, we're now going to take some Cygor Brown. We're going to apply this over the top of all of our leather details. So with all that Cygor Brown applied, I've actually just applied some Skeleton Horde to the trousers as well. I forgot to mention it last time, and in fact forgot to do it myself. But what we're going to do now is going to move on to our next colour, which is going to be some Gore-Grunta Fur. We're going to apply this over the top of any wood. So this is going to be the hafts of any spears, bows, and any drawn arrows. So with that all done, we're then going to use a small amount of Black Legion. I'm going to apply this over top of the horse's hooves, as well as the eyes of the horse and of the rider. And so with that Black Legion all applied, we're then going to take some Tyran Blue. I'm going to apply this over top of all of the what will be white details. So we've got things like this kind of saddle cloth. We've got the outside of the cloth on the horse's barding. Got the feather on this gentleman's hat. So with that all done, we can now start adding some metallics, and the first of these is going to be some thinned down Leadbelcher. I'm going to apply this over top of all of the plate armour and any scale mail and any weapons. So with that all done, we're now going to take some thinned down Retributor Armour. I'm going to use this to paint in all of our remaining details. So with that all done, it's now time to add some shades, and the first of these is going to be, well, a contrast paint. We're going to use some Gryph-Charger Grey. I'm going to apply this over top of all of the silver details. And so with all that Gryph-Charger Grey applied, we're then going to take some Reikland Fleshshade. I'm going to use this to shade all the gold. So with that all done, our Ellyrian Reavers are now what I would call a Warhipster battle ready, and they're looking pretty good. However, we're of course not going to leave them there, no. We're going to take them to the next level. I'm going to do this by adding some layers and some highlights. Now, the first of these is going to be some thinned down Corax White, and this is going to be both a layer and a highlight at the same time. So, we're going to be using the Corax White to highlight, layer first. We're going to be using this to layer all of the cloth, for example this bit here, like this, and we're just going to avoid the deepest recesses just to keep a little bit of that blue in there. Like that sort of thing. We're going to do the same thing on like the shirts and stuff like that. Up here, we've got the saddle blankets as well. Just like that sort of thing. We're also going to use this, however, to highlight areas such as the hair on the horse tails and manes. We're going to use this to highlight any of the little tassels. So that sort of thing. And we're also going to use this to highlight the horse's socks. So with that all done, that's actually a huge amount of the model now already finished. We don't need to go actually much brighter than that because it's already a very bright miniature. So what we're going to do next is move on, and we're going to take some thinned down pink horror. We're going to use this to highlight all of our burgundy areas. So this is going to include these little kind of bits of fabric and the feathers. So with that all done, we're now going to take some Screaming Skull. I'm going to use this to pick out the eyes of the horse by just adding a dot in the back corner, like so. We're going to use it to pick out any teeth, and we're going to use it to do the eyes of the riders as well. Exactly the same way. Just take a tiny amount and add a little dot in the corners. So with all the eyes now done, we're going to take some thinned down Flayed One Flesh, and we're going to use this to highlight the rider's skin. So with that flesh now complete, we're going to take some thinned down Gorthor Brown. We're going to use this to highlight all of our dark brown leather. So with that all done, we're then going to take some thinned down Teclis Blue. I'm going to use this to highlight all of the blue. So with that all done, we're now going to take some thinned down Leadbelcher. I'm going to use this to relayer any of our plate armour in wide open silver areas. So we're not going to be worrying about any of the scale mail, for example, but we are going to be just getting this shine back on areas like the helmet and their braces and their chest plates, as well as the horse's head armour. We can also do it on the weapons as well. So with that all done, we're now going to highlight that silver using some thinned down Stormhost Silver. And so with all that Stormhost Silver applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Liberator Gold. We're going to use this to highlight all the gold. And so with that all done, to finish off our Ellyrian Reavers, we're going to take some Blood Angels Red and we're going to apply this over top of all the gems. With the bases now complete using a base ready mix from Geek Gaming Scenics, our Ellyrian Reavers are now finished. And while I only did the 5 out of the box that has 10 in it, because, well, it's a lot of work to do 5 cavalry, let alone 10 at once, but I think they look fantastic. They are a brilliant resculpt of the Ellyrian Reavers, and this is just kind of what we want more of from the old world. Just lots more of this sort of thing. If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com/warhipster, just like all of these wonderful, amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done, scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.